All right, there's no sugarcoating it. I want to play 3 videos of Aaron Mate, the Buzzsaw Aaron Mate, who's also been co-hosting the Jimmy Dore Show along with Do Dissidents and also so many other, Misty Winston. A huge shout out to all these people while Jimmy is doing his world tour in Europe. Actually, his European tour, not a world tour, but a European tour. But look, there's also a video of Theo Von. There's also a video of Glenn Greenwald and a couple other people calling out Donald Trump because I just want to pull this up here. And there's no sugarcoating this because there really isn't. Trump talk of joining Iran-Israel conflict unnerves lawmakers in both parties, which I will say again, what could go wrong? What could possibly go wrong with us intervening in the Iran-Israeli war? Well, a lot, because that could drag in another global superpower. So first of all, let's give it up for Aaron Mate, the buzzsaw himself, who is doing some fantastic work. Again, I encourage everyone, please follow the Gray Zone. They're fantastic journalist, award-winning journalist. So here's Aaron Mate, the buzzsaw. Take it away, Aaron.
Well, this war stuff's not really working. I'm not a pro-war guy.
Can I make a point here?
Yeah.
The reason to oppose war is not because it doesn't work. It's because you have no right to do it. You had no right as an illegal aggressor to invade Iraq. That was based on a lie, and the U.S. had no right to bomb it. Just as Israel has no right to bomb Iran, which is not threatening Israel, Israel has no right to occupy the people of Palestine. It only has the obligation to stop occupying them. And on that point, I've been to Gaza. I'm Jewish myself. I was treated very well. I met children. They're not taught to hate. They're just taught to have their eyes open and see what's in front of them.
What are you living on?
Israeli occupation that has denied them their basic rights. It's put them in a cage. If you don't want Hamas there, don't put them under one of the most sadistic military occupations in the world, in which Israel controls even what kind of food people can eat, which now has been reduced to Holocaust levels. 20 years ago, that was at the levels where Israel was counting the calories, literally, so that they would give the people of Gaza just enough food so there wouldn't be a full-blown starvation crisis. One Israeli official referred to this as putting them on a diet.
I want to pause here again. I want to keep my pausing here to a minimum. But look, in an irrational situation, people are going to have to make rational choices to survive. And to survive, which leads to more madness. All of this war, this whole thing, 75 years of madness could have been avoided. Hell, 100 years of madness. All of this. All this could have been avoided. None of this needed to happen. None of this terror and pain and suffering needed to happen. And now here we are with Iran and Israel. It can and will go wrong.
That's called sadism. And it's the root cause of all problems in the Middle East. If you don't want wars, if you don't want conflict, the first place to start is with our aggression, our tyranny. And the fundamental tyranny that threatens everybody is Israel's oppression and now mass murder of the Palestinian people.
Yes.
Well, this war stuff's not really working. I'm not a pro-war guy.
Can I make a point here?
Yeah.
Now I do want to pull up something else here too, because there's another thing too I want to pull up here. Okay. Because shout again to Aaron Mate, the buzzsaw, the one who is always been on point. Again, huge shout out to him. But also, there's other people speaking out. But before we do, this just recently came before my attention. Again, huge shout out to my audience. Without all of you, because unlike Piers Morgan, I actually have people whispering my ear saying, "Hey, Kit, check this out. Check this out." Because without you, my audience, this show would not exist. And for that, excuse me, boy, oh boy, I guess I need to drink more water. Here we go. Trump reportedly greenlights plan for U.S. attack on Iran without congressional approval. President Trump is set to meet with top advisors in the White House Situation Room Thursday morning. That's today, in the wake of reports that he has privately approved plans for a U.S. attack on Iran, a development that comes after days of pressure from Israeli officials and Republican war hawks in Congress to intervene in the war that Israel launched last week. God damn it! Hey, listen. First, to the liberals. You know King's March protesters show me shit. You go out there and protest. And I saw a couple of tweets and posts on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. It's saying, oh, Chicago's strong. 75,000. Where are all of you? Where is everybody? See, that's why I just couldn't even stomach to even be there amongst all of you. Because you know what? You see the orange boogeyman? Ooh, Trump, he scares me. This has been a problem that's been growing long before that guy ever even got into office. And none of you seem to get active unless there's a bad guy, a cartoon villain to hate. Well, guess what? Sometimes the greatest evil can hide in the light. You ever wonder what your favorite U.S. politician, U.S. senator, House representative are doing behind closed doors? Any of you going to get up? Because right now, Iran is not going to be like Iraq. And we are stuck in these forever wars. How many opportunities are we going to be given before we actually do something? Okay? So you could do your, oh, no kings. No kings. Are you free still? Did that stop him? Are you going to be continuous and ongoing? Because until then, I don't give a damn if you protest 75,000, 100,000, 200,000, a million strong in front of Trump Tower here in Chicago. Unless you're going to speak out against this war, I don't give a damn. All 75,000 people who protest in Chicago, write to your congressman and woman right now. And you know something else, controversial statement here, because now, Uno reverse card, hey, conservatives, Trump MAGA. Now I'm talking to you. You vote for this? Because I've seen a little bit of a civil war happening with the Trump MAGA people. Okay? Now listen, if you're a Trump supporter, you're against the war, guess what? You're an ally. I invite you in the room. And if that triggers liberals, too fucking bad. I will work with anyone to be against this war. Now, your guy Trump, he ran in 2024 being anti-war, but here he is. He's talking about dragging us into Iran. Everybody needs to get off their ass and do something right now. Call your congressman and woman right now and do it. You need to do this. It's not that you have a choice here. It's that if you don't do this, we don't know the consequences down the road. We already saw the damages of Iraq and Afghanistan and what it did to our veterans. We also saw the damage of what it did to our economy, overall reputation. You know, last I remember, Bush Jr. was Cheney, was saying that there are WMDs in Iraq. We never found them because they never existed. Oh, God forbid we be brought in for a war, for another war with Iran. Both sides, listen, I know everybody just has these hatred and wants to fight each other on social media. Well, here, I'm calling for a timeout, okay? We can go back to hating each other and triggering each other and owning each other after we stop this idiot orange clown from dragging us into a war with Iran. And you know what? He very well could get away with it, but even as he is ordering our troops to do so, can we not unite? Can we not show the world that we're against this? Because we have to be against this. This isn't showing cowardice or weakness. This is showing rationale because, you know, a global superpower is going to be involved, the United States. And there's a good chance, however fearful it is and dangerous it is, that Russia and China could be involved in as well. And it's not anti-American. But there's somebody like you who lives in Iran. There's probably somebody like you who lives in Israel. There's probably somebody like you who lives in Gaza. And that whole region's lit aflame in fire. Last I checked, we're a global superpower. Last I checked, the American government should work with the American people, right? The American people are in charge, right? Have you forgotten who we are? We are 100 times better than this. And these politicians are going to drag us into another war. We can't do this. This will be the end of us. How much more do we have to burden? How much more do we have to carry? How much more must be put before us? So you know what? Screw it. I'll work with anybody at this point. I don't care. Libertarian, green, socialist, Trumper, anarchist. If you're against war, fine. You have a seat at my table. We'll figure something out. But this doesn't work. Sorry for the rant, people. Trump's belligerent rhetoric and demand for unconditional surrender ahead of a possible U.S. attack have drawn sharp rebukes from Iranian officials who said Wednesday that the country does not negotiate under duress, shall not accept peace terms under duress, and certainly not has been warmonger clinging to relevance. The U.S. possesses 30,000-pound bunker buster bombs within striking distance of Iran. Israel claims it needs such explosives to hit Iran's heavily enriched Fordow nuclear site. Okay, great. Hey, radioactive danger. What could go wrong, right? With the final decision of the president expected at any moment, anti-war members of Congress are moving with urgency to build support for legislative efforts to avert an unauthorized U.S. attack on Iran. Look, Thomas Massey, I got my criticisms of you. But man, I really hope that you could get at least the entire Democrat. I know, I'm vomiting in my mouth already saying it, but the whole Democrat Party to be behind Thomas Massey. Thomas Massey, I hope you can get some conservatives to go along. Hey, listen, Republican voters, call your congressman and woman. Do it. Do it now, okay? Time out, everybody. Call them. I want to play a video here. Listen, just play another video here. Look, a lot of people are speaking out. I think we need to be against war. This is from Theo Von. And look, hey, like I said, anybody. I'm willing to work with anybody at this point.
Trying to get us into a war with Iran or not, America, if Israel is trying to. I don't trust the Israel leader at all. I don't believe anything that guy says. And I don't think that our soldiers should have to go and defend stuff that they start. I'm not a soldier, so I'm obviously speaking out of turn. I'm not even brave enough to serve, so there's that element. But that is kind of how I feel, I guess. And so it's like, yeah, when do I speak? When do I say that? Because it feels like they're trying to push Trump to go do that, and it's like, who makes that choice? Does he make that choice? And then what do we get? What's the win for us? We're just involved in some other thing while we have suffering here at home. So maybe something like that is like, yeah, should I even speak up? Because I'm not in service. Servicemen and women may be like, we'll do it, and that's.
I've known plenty of men and women in service who don't want to do this. And it's okay to speak out. Guess what? I'm going to speak out. I served in the military. I don't want this. I don't want this. It's brave to say, I don't want this. What's the win? What's the win? Just going to throw this out here for a second. All right, everybody. Geez. It's really sad that Iran has prevented us to have affordable health care. It's really sad that, Big Pharma has gone away with having an opioid crisis here because Iran opened the door for them. And that's why Big Pharma has created this opioid crisis, because Iran did that. Lead in Flint's drinking water. Boy, somehow Iran was able to do that. A lot of these environmental disasters, these train derailments and everything, boy, I wish Iran didn't do that to us. Those bankers and Wall Street executives should be thanking Iran that they were bailed out. Our education system's falling apart because Iran is somehow denying us funds and resources. Hey, we have a student debt crisis. Huh? Why is Iran denying us education and further enlightenment? Oh, wait. Iran didn't do that. Iran hasn't been putting its giant dick in our ass. Oh, I know, I said it. You want to know who's been doing that? The politicians. That's who's been doing it. You're Democrat and Republican lawmakers for decades. Boomers, Xers, millennials, Gen Z. We got something in common. We do. We were never given a fighting chance by these jagoff politicians. They succeeded in dividing us. It wasn't Iran. Corporate media succeeded in making all of us numb. Iran didn't do that. What's the win for bombing Iran? What's the win? Go ahead, I'll wait. If you're pro-war, tell me, what's the win? What's the win? Because I don't think the Iranian government has screwed us over harder than our own government has. Tell me what's the win. Maybe I don't want to be vaporized. Maybe I don't want to instigate anything with China and Russia, okay? Maybe I don't want to live in the Fallout timeline. Maybe I don't want to be drinking my coffee one day and, oh, hey, big wall of flame. And then, hey, oh, I'm looking at all my viewers. Hey, Mastermind. Oh, my goodness. Lawrence, how you doing? My favorite planet, Steve Wolfbrand. Jimmy, good to see everybody here. Wait, you're dead? So am I? Oh, what happened? Where's the win? Where's the big win? Where's the gigantic win? I don't see a win. I see more pain and suffering. That's what I see. That's what I see. So, if that makes me a bad guy, I guess it makes me a bad guy. But you know what? I'm willing to work with anybody. We don't have a choice here.
At home. So maybe something like that is like, yeah, do I have, should I even speak up? Because I'm not in service. Servicemen and women may be like, we'll do it, and that's their commitment and their job. But yeah, I don't know. That guy really scares me. And I don't know why we support them. I don't understand that. I wish they would really give us a better explanation, especially after the massacres in Gaza. I don't understand. I do not understand that. And some people say, well, you don't know enough about it. It may not. But it's like, can I still speak about it? Can I speak?
Yes, you can. Theo Von, you have absolute right to speak about it. From the viewer to everybody. I want to play this video here. So I want to play this video here. Like I said, I'm willing to work with anybody.
What does he think? We're stupid? And the people online that are trying to pretend that we are the ones betraying Trump for holding him accountable to his promises that he made to us when we voted for him, when we encouraged other people to vote for him. You're pretending that we're the ones that are problematic? This level of gaslighting that's taking place, you got Laura Loomer out there saying, screenshot every tweet that's against Donald Trump. Let me tell you something, sweetheart. You better start capturing Donald Trump's tweets that are going out right now because they seem pretty against Donald Trump's ideas of yesteryear. That's all I'm saying.
Seems reasonable. Seems reasonable to me. I'll play another video here. This is from Glenn Greenwald.
Now, J.D. Vance, knowing that that's not a very substantive or sophisticated case that Trump is making, went to Twitter today to try and defend Trump. No hesitation at all, no questioning at all about whether this is the right war. Suddenly, J.D. Vance is a voluntarily public advocate and cheerleader for this war, this unprovoked war that Israel is fighting against its enemy and now dragging the United States into. And here's what he had to say on Twitter, quote, "Look, I'm seeing this from the inside. I'm admittedly biased toward our president and my friend. But there's a lot of crazy stuff on social media, so I wanted to address some things directly on the Iran issue. First, the president has been amazingly consistent over 10 years that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Over the last few months, he encouraged his foreign policy team to reach a deal with the Iranians to accomplish this goal. The president has made clear that Iran cannot have uranium enrichment. And he said repeatedly that this would happen one of two ways, the easy way or, quote, the other way." Now, the idea that going to war the minute the Israelis want one with Iran, trying to change their regime or destroy all their nuclear facilities, ordering 10, 15 million people to evacuate Tehran, as President Trump ordered them to do last night at 2 a.m. their time, that's somehow consistent with everything he's been saying for the last 10 years is obviously preposterous. That's why so many people who are prominent followers of his and supporters of his are feeling very confused because he led them to believe the exact opposite. There was no suggestion from Trump over the last 10 years that he's going to go to war with Israel against Iran if they don't reach a deal on the exact day that Trump sets as the deadline. And again, you see J.D. Vance there kind of just sliding over the fact of whether Iran was actually trying to get a nuclear weapon in the first place. Yes, Trump has always said Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. Everybody said that. Obama said that. Biden said that. Hillary Clinton says that. George Bush said, everyone has said that. But none of them ever went to war with Iran because they didn't believe Iran was seeking a nuclear weapon. That was the consensus of our intelligence agency that they were in. And then Obama created a framework that everybody agrees monitored the Iranians to make sure they weren't trying to obtain a nuclear weapon. And so here's J.D. Vance just trying to say he's been consistent on this for 10 years, as though this war with Iran that he's now assuming as his own somehow is what you should have expected based on everything that he said over the last decade. Does anyone actually believe that? Vance goes on, quote, second, I've seen a lot of confusion over the issue of, quote, civilian nuclear power and, quote, uranium enrichment. These are distinct issues. Right, the confusion is coming from Trump and from the U.S. government. Iran could have civilian nuclear power without enrichment, but Iran rejected that. Okay, this statement is false. You cannot have nuclear power, civilian nuclear power, without uranium enrichment. Uranium enrichment is a prerequisite to having civilian nuclear energy.
I mean, we do it. Everybody else does it. You know, just throwing this out here, you know, maybe the reason why also people are on edge is because, you know, under Barack Obama. Remember what happened to Gaddafi when he stopped his nuclear program? Now, look, I'm not going to say Gaddafi was a saint or an angel or anything like that. No, everybody's got problems. From kings to tyrants, emperors, popes, presidents, and prime ministers, senators and ministers so sinister, and representatives and counselors and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, at least under his rule, there was an open slave trade. See, as soon as he got rid of that, something happened to him. And, oh, yeah, he met a violent, bloody end. And everything turned out peachy for Libya, right? No, that was a big call sign for like, oh, we do something like that, that could happen to us. Not to mention, Iran kind of knows firsthand what it's like to have its government, you know, be cooed. I mean, we, under General Dwight D. Eisenhower, let's get busy. And the British government and British and American oil companies with the CIA, we removed a fledgling, you know, national government there, a potential democracy. And you know what? Maybe in an alternate universe, we never did that. It's just me, but I would have rolled the dice and be like, hey, let's see how these new kids grow. They got a democracy there. Freedom. Oh, yeah. Right choice. But see, the problem is with a democracy, a republic, is that, you know, they have to represent and look after their people. And they want to nationalize their oil. And, hey, look, guess you can't do that, right? What a world it would be if actually there was a fledgling democracy, a republic there. Maybe we wouldn't be having half the problems we're having right now. I don't know. We'll never know. I want to pull up this up here right now, because I'm angry. Trump pushes back on report that he approved attack plan for Iran. Again, this is why I love my viewing audience, because unlike Piers Morgan, sometimes I get a little message, a little tweet. Say, hey, kid, check this out. See, I'm never going to have anyone yell at my show, how do you not know this? You know, I'm never going to have a George Galloway moment, because, hey, I got to do the news, and the news is always new. If you got the reference, I love you. If you don't, check out Succession. When quoted, here's the thing, President Trump on Thursday pushed back on reporting that he has given approval for attack plans against Iran, as he publicly insists he has yet to decide the path forward. So it's 50-50. Maybe yes, maybe no. Oh, it's just a flip of a coin. Heads or tails, folks. You decide. I may do it, I may not. I mean, nobody knows what I'm going to do. Not even you, Trump. I can tell you this, that Iran's got a lot of trouble, and they want to negotiate. And I say, why didn't you negotiate with me before all this death and destruction? Trump met in the Situation Room for a second consecutive day on Wednesday with members of his national security team amid conflict in the Middle East between Israel and Iran. Well, what could go wrong? Everything can go wrong. You see, it's only going to be a matter of time before it doesn't matter what any person says, be it Theo Von, Aaron Mate, hey, Kit Cabello from Hard Lens Media, Candace Owens, Jimmy Dore, Russell and Keaton from Due Dissidence, the entire RBN crew. It's not going to matter because once the war starts, I mean, then, hey, kind of all bets are off here, okay? I mean, we already got this war happening in Ukraine. We already got the instability in Syria, Lebanon, Gaza, Yemen. Hey, let's add Iran to the mix. Do you think your favorite politicians or rich billionaires are going to invite you into their little safe nest, their little sanctuary, their little fallout bunkers? They're not going to let you in. They're going to ask for your kids to fight. See, here's the thing. And by the way, if you're pro-war, if you're an influencer or a U.S. Senator or House of Representatives pro-war, boot up and suit up, zip up your pants, and go ahead and fight. Because here's the thing. And, you know, I'm probably going to upset some historians here, and I'm probably going to upset a lot of people here with this statement, but hear me out. This is just a short cliff note. This is just a short little statement. And you know what? If I get it wrong, hey, I apologize, but understand where I'm coming from. Meet me at the middle ground. We all know about the magnificent Roman Empire. In the early days when it was a republic, you know, even their most incompetent senators and counselors, they even had to fight in the war, right? You know, and you know they had to go in there, right? And there were some geniuses in military tactics, and then there were some grade A morons. But at least those grade A morons put on their sword and shield and armor and fought and died, of course, massacred horribly with their troops. At least they did it. Do you see any of these influencers and U.S. senators and House representatives doing what they did? At least with the Romans, they're incompetent senators. At least they fought. Our people don't give a damn, but they'll ask your kids to do it. They're going to ask you to pay for it. Tell me again, where's the win in this? Where's the big win? Where's the big cash? Where's that stimulus check? Where's that bailout? Where's the money? We got money for this war, but we can't take care of our people as they're dying in the streets. We got money for this war, but we can't do healthcare. We got money for this war, we can't do education. We got money for this war, we can't do a damn thing. Oh, we can't do it. It'll ruin the economy. Who's paying for this war? Where's my win? Where's your win? No King's Marchers. Where are you? Yeah, this is a direct challenge to you. Where are you? Go ahead. Be out on the streets right now. If I see daily protests against war, I will shut up. I will apologize on air and be like, hey, you guys proved me wrong. Are you kidding me? I'm begging. I want to say I was so wrong. Everybody's out there in the streets. I want to do it. I'll show up out there too. If people have the balls to confront their politicians, have the balls to call their senators and House representatives, they have the balls to get out there. Where's the benefit for war with Iran? This war's been going on for 2 years. Since October 7th. Haven't enough people died? Haven't we seen enough of it? I mean, what? For about maybe 10,000 years, humans have had civilization. Where was the benefit in all these wars? Where was the benefit? And I get it. There were tyrants and dictators that had to be stopped. You know, everyone's going to say, well, what would you do with World War II? Of course, everyone would want to stop Hitler. And come on. Come on, man. But haven't, how many times have we avoided disaster, only then have another war and another war? I'm just going to say this again. I saw the Hiroshima Peace Museum. Okay? I was in there. And you know what? Maybe it's because I'm different. Maybe there are people stronger than me and better than me and built different than me. When I walked in there, I walked out shaken. I walked out different. It really hit me to my core. When you see the damage of that one atomic bomb, what it did to Hiroshima, I don't want that on anybody. Not even my worst enemy. I don't want that. I don't want to see a picture of a kid screaming for water. Where's my mom and dad? I don't want to see pictures or drawings of people's firsthand testimonials, as they're so hot and they're burnt alive that they're drowning in the rivers. That's what you'll see in the Hiroshima Peace Museum. I don't want it. And now we got these weapons, far more powerful than the one dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And they're pointed at each other's cities. Maybe something different can happen. If you choose to fight against this war, if you choose to speak out, you have a seat at my table.